Let's talk about my favourite chemical to talk about, which is dopamine. So let's talk about why we struggle with overeating sometimes and binge eating and the impact that dopamine has in this. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a hormone that we have that we produce in terms of anything to do with sense of reward, achievement, so ticking things off, completing tasks. Our brain loves dopamine. Now, in primitive times, the main way that we got dopamine was going out to hunt. So we would go out to hunt, we would get the food, and the dopamine came from the sense of reward that we got from eating the food that we went out to hunt. And it was a social experience. We sat down to eat, we got that sense of reward. It was great. Now, obviously, it doesn't work in that way anymore. We don't have to go out to hunt to get our food, but we do still get dopamine from eating. And that's not necessarily a bad thing at all, because food is something that brings us pleasure. It is still like a reward system in some ways. It's definitely still a social thing. And that is not something that is bad. However, the issue occurs when we solely rely on getting our dopamine from food. Now, we should have a nice consistent flow of all of the good neurotransmitters in our brain that we need. So we need dopamine, we need serotonin, we need endorphins, and we need oxytocin. And we get a nice consistent flow of those good chemicals when everything in our life is pretty much in balance. So when we're not kind of feeling overwhelmed and stressed, when day-to-day life isn't building up and we haven't got big things going on, when we're getting a good variety of positive actions, which means that we are doing things that make us feel good, but also like we hold good boundaries, we have good routine, good structure, we stay consistent with things that work for us. When we have lots of positive interactions with people and animals and, work colleagues, etc., that make us feel good. And when we are reframing our thoughts and thinking about things in a positive way. And also when we have purpose, structure, routine, we get the positive purpose. So when we've got all of those things, we refer to them as the 4 Ps, everything in your brain is pretty much in balance. Now, when it's not, we get a dip in those good chemicals, and that is when our brain thinks, I need a quick fix. Easiest way to get a quick fix is dopamine. Easiest way to get dopamine now is food. Unfortunately, high fat and high sugary foods are the easiest thing for us to reach. So when those good chemicals aren't in balance, when the stress, the cortisol levels are higher, our brain will be kicking in and say, I'm under threat, I need to survive, I need that dopamine to make me feel good, I need the food to help me to survive, give it to me now. And that is when we end up in that habit of wanting to eat things that are higher in fat, higher in sugar, and also just wanting to eat more as well. So when our cortisol levels are higher, we will get the signals kicking in saying you're under threat, you need to survive. Main way that we need to survive is to eat. We also need to stay warm, because in primitive times we could have been out in all different types of weather, so our brains and our bodies then hang on to it more as a fat store. So rather than looking at actually making the changes with the food, it can be really useful to work out where else you can get your dopamine from. So is it being a bit more organised at home, decluttering the house? Is it a bit of a more routine structure? Do you need to change some timings to make things work for you so everything's in balance? Do you need to be making more time for yourself? Do you need to be saying no to more things? So have a think and think about where actually can you get your dopamine, your endorphins, your serotonin, your oxytocin from, so that you're not getting those dips in your good chemicals and then relying on the dopamine more and increasing your cortisol more.